I'm about to ride. It's the KLH show, starring me, KLH. I'm telling you, you better hold on to something. Let's go!
What is going on, Waterberries? Me, your man KLH, back in your TV screen, here to save the world 30 minutes at a time. Word up. Yeah. Yes, another episode of the show. I think I'm kind of falling into this thing where I want to just be me and you, and we're just having a little conversation about some things. As always, I know that you folks out there have a lot of viewing choices, and you made this one, and I appreciate you for it. And as always, please tell somebody to tell somebody. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, whatever, hit me up on the email address, klhoud1@comcast.net. Let's go. First up, I wanted to get into a little bit of this controversy that actually got into some of the major news outlets in the country. Jumped off right here in Waterbury. A middle school teacher referred to a black boy as a black boy. As I looked at this story on the internet, it almost seemed like it was a Saturday Night Live skit. Here goes a white teacher, happened to be from down south, which I guess helped fuel the fire. She didn't remember one of her students' name, and she referred to him as Black Boy. From what I understood from the story, she didn't remember the student's name, and she called him by the wrong name. The student said, "That's not my name," whatever. And she said, "Well, Black Boy, how about Black Boy? Go sit down, Black Boy." Now, as you can see, I'm about as black can be. So I'm no apologist for racists. In fact, that's part of the headline that was in this story, was that a teacher was in trouble for using a racial comment. Far as I can tell, referring to a black boy as a black boy is not a racist comment. Now, I got into a little bit of a thing on Facebook over this issue because there was a couple of people who were very indignant and angry over this subject, and I jumped in and said that I thought that it was a non-issue. After looking deeper into the story, I still think it's a non-issue. I think that far too often people get hypersensitive over things that don't need hypersensitivity. Now, I'm not going to say it's perfectly fine that the teacher said, "Hey, black boy," but I'm also not going to say it's newsworthy. I think the situation could have been handled much easier if the principal said to the teacher, "Listen, learn your student's name and let's get on with it." And it could have been as simple as that. But no, here goes the NAACP. The parents are all outraged, and it's this whole big national news story for what? Now, I heard somebody saying that, "Oh, well, the teacher should be setting an example, and they're there to educate our kids and teach them how to operate in the world and all this stuff." And I say, yes, that's true. However, in the world, people are people, and sometimes people misspeak a little bit, and you have to learn how to get over it. I don't think this was a racist issue at all. If the teacher is a racist, as far as I'm concerned, she should be fired. I don't think this is any real evidence of that, though. And I think that, if anything, raising such a fuss over such a little thing is the thing that really is setting a bad example for our students. We have to teach our kids to be tough. We have to teach them how to get along and get around in this world and be able to deal with obstacles and challenges and people who don't like them, and people are going to say a whole lot worse things than to call you by the color of your skin. I personally think I think it's stupid, really. I think it's a stupid issue, and that way too often, and I'm going to talk about my people, black folks get too sensitive over nonsense, and that we need to focus on things a lot more important than that. And I can think of countless times it is common for black folks to refer to a grown white man as a white boy. That is a very common thing in the black community. And yet, I don't hear the outrage over that and saying, well, we need to check ourselves too. We're all upset over a white woman calling a black boy a black boy. It's stupid to me. And along in this article that I read in the Huffington Post, which is a blog online, there was a couple of other mentions of some of these racial situations happening in our schools. There was a situation of a teacher in Virginia asking a student to read something and saying that he needed to sound blacker. The student, of course, was black. And so there was a big outrage. Oh my God. How can you tell him to sound blacker? What does blacker mean? Probably the teacher shouldn't have said it. It's not newsworthy though. Principals can get involved in these situations and just tell the teachers, listen, cut the crap and let's get on with it. And that should be the end of it. I think we make our kids think that the slightest little thing is something that should shut them down and make them appalled and have to call in the NAACP is stupid. There's another situation where a teacher in Georgia used slavery, which is a little more sensitive, a lot more sensitive, some slavery terms or slavery scenario for a math word problem, and said something to the effect of if Frederick got 2 beatings a day, then how many beatings did he get in a week? That one is kind of offensive. That one's offensive. I'm gonna side with the NAACP on that one, because God forbid if they were talking about if 2 Jews got gassed in a chamber a day, how many Jews would be gassed in a week? You can rest assured that school will be shut the freak down. Almost went over the edge there. Jews don't play, but I think the slavery thing is definitely over the line. But the other 2 situations, I think, is way too much about nothing. We need to teach our kids to be tough. People aren't always gonna like you. Sometimes people misspeak, and it's not necessarily a commentary on all of who they are as a person. I've said things out of the way. I'm sure every single one of you folks out there has said something out of the way, something a little over the line, and you apologize for it and get past it. It's not newsworthy for a teacher to refer to a black boy as a black boy. If anything, I think it's just foolishness. It really is. So, next subject, the economy. Just going to touch on it a little bit. The economy is still in the news. It's going to be in the news for quite a while. President Obama's been getting a little heat because he said he believes the private sector of the economy is doing fine. And of course, the Republicans see blood. In a way, I don't blame them, because the last presidential campaign, when John McCain said he believes the fundamentals of our economy are strong, President Obama, or candidate Obama's people and all the Democrats swarmed over him like crazy, saying he was out of touch, this and that, And oh my God, how can he say that? People are suffering, which I would tend to agree. So now that the shoe is on the other foot, the Republicans are swarming all over President Obama for making this comment. And I think in both cases, actually, if you dig down a little bit, I think both people, John McCain back in 2008, I guess, and President Obama now, there was some rationale to what they said. It was probably said inartfully, and I think it's a lot to do about nothing. However, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and President Obama deserves all the heat he's getting because they jump all over John McCain for making a very, very similar comment. And it's so funny how politicians have a knack for thinking that, well, if I said it, I meant something different by it. But if he said it, then we need to torture him for it and crucify him for it. And I think it's so ridiculous, the double standards, the hypocrisy, and all this stuff. It's really something that we need to scream at our politicians for, is to be real with us, to be grown-ups, and to really do the work of the people and not get caught up in all this nonsensical crap. The political scene in this country is a disgrace. It really, really is. We have John McCain, now speaking of McCain, talking about President Obama or President Obama's administration, and that there are these leaks that have come out that are compromising national security, and that the president needs to answer for it. And he's implying, or he has said, that President Obama is the only one that stands to benefit from this and making him look tough, and that I think it's disgusting that he'd be willing, or his administration be willing, to leak this sensitive security information in a way, or in order to make President Obama look tougher to help him politically. I think John McCain is acting like a jackass for saying such a thing, because I think it's clear, regardless of what you think about President Obama's politics, he's not stupid. He's not going to leak information so that he looks tougher to help him politically. I think it's something that John McCain should get a verbal smackdown for, and he should sit down somewhere and shut up. He's a hater because he got his ass handed to him in the election, and now he's just jumping all over Obama for everything. And they're acting like because these reporters who wrote these books on these security issues said it, that it's true, that they got it from Obama's administration, rather than thinking like, well, maybe they didn't, maybe they made up some stuff, or maybe they got it from outside the administration, somebody maybe close to the administration but not in the administration. And to implicate the president in this, I think John McCain is acting like a fool right now. So that is that. We got to get our politicians to do the work of the people. And back to the economy. A lot of people are hurting in this economy, and I'm one of them. It's a struggle every day. And under the president's leadership, statistically, things may have gotten better. Maybe he really did, through his leadership, prevent the economy from sliding off a cliff and going into a horrible depression. But still, things are really, really crappy. And a lot of people are looking toward the government to make things better. And I think there are things that they need to do better. However, one of the things that has really been hammered home for me, that has been an epiphany in a way, is that we have to be in charge of our own economy. We can't depend on Obama or Romney or any of the other political leaders in this country to save us. we have to get out and make it happen for ourselves. Excuse me. I was driving with somebody yesterday, and we were driving by a marina, beautiful, in Milford, and seeing all the boats and fancy houses and whatnot. And he was asking, like, I don't see, how is this possible? And I'm like, well, they live in the same economy that we live in. There are people, as crappy as this economy is, there are people right now making money because they're not relying on the government to do it for them. They're going out and getting it done themselves. One of the great things about this country is that it is possible for all of us. Now, it is true that things are heavily in favor of people who have power and people of great financial means. They have a lot more access to rules that help them. They have access to the people that make the rules. However, we individually, each of us, can make our economy what we want it to be. It will be challenging without a doubt, but it is possible. And things can be achieved that we may have thought were impossible. And it all starts with believing that we can. It has to start with that. It has to start with a knowing that we can get to the promised land. Now, that doesn't mean it'll be easy. That doesn't mean that wishful thinking will get us anywhere. But we have to start with a belief that we can. And if we do that, it opens up a world of possibilities. And looking at my clock here, gotta make sure I stay on time. We have to start with belief. And belief, as I said, opens up a world of possibilities for us that we would never have seen otherwise. So our economy is hinging on each of our individual economies. I can get to where I want to go if I believe that I can, and then I start acting on that belief. I will not wait for President Obama to push through some new stimulus spending. It might help a few of the people that work on bridges and roads, but it ain't gonna help me. And most of the people out there probably don't work in highway construction or bridge construction, so it ain't gonna help you either. But what will help is realizing the power that you and I have within us, and then utilizing that power to improve our own economies. Now, along with politics, and it kind of comes back to personal responsibility again, which is, I guess, a theme of what I'm talking about here, is the thing that I see happening now in during this presidential campaign is a lot of black folks, in fact, most black folks, statistically in the polls we see it, I believe it's up in the 90% range of black Americans, African Americans, support Barack Obama. A lot of those people support Barack Obama because he's black. There's nothing particularly wrong with that. Clearly, a lot of white folks support the white candidate because he's white. And God knows the racial divide that we've had in this country, and we still have. But I think it is problematic for African Americans to think, to shut off all other possibilities, to simply support Barack Obama because he's black. I think it's important to dig down at the issues and ask, are the policies that Barack Obama is putting forth beneficial to me? And if they are not, then we need to look elsewhere. And if we still want to support Barack Obama, then we should make it known what our interests are, what our needs are, what our wants are for ourselves, for our families, for our country. We need to make our voice known and stop just giving our votes away for free. It's foolish. However, Black folks aren't the only ones doing this. Democrats at large, or as a whole, will consistently vote for Democrats simply because that's what they've always done. Republicans will consistently vote for Republicans simply because that's what they've always done, without looking at the issues. And if you listen to these politicians on TV, it's crazy. They think everything they say, everything within their platform is the gospel truth and the best thing for the universe. And that ain't the case. One of the great things about this country is its diversity. And yet the diversity is not being utilized in Congress. Everybody is out for their own agenda, and we, the people, lose out because of it. I am really seriously considering voting for Mitt Romney because I'm sick of the fact that President Obama is not doing enough. Now, I'm clear that the president can't write laws and put them into effect himself, but he has not done some of the things he said he would do, and I think he can fight harder than he has for some of the things that he has put out there. I think the healthcare law could and should be better than it is. I think that if he says he's going to close Guantanamo Bay in the first year of his presidency, that's exactly what he should do. This president, as I said before, is not stupid. He knew going in that he can't just do whatever the hell he feels like doing, that it has to go through Congress. He should have thought about that before he made promises to the American people. With that said, I do not believe that all the difficulties and challenges that we are going through in this country are a fault of the president. I think that the president is only part of the situation, and that he has to work with Republicans in the Congress, and they have to work with him. If they don't do that, if it doesn't happen, then we, the people, lose out. So we got to speak up, and we have to look at those people who we may support, and we need to really critically examine their record. If they're in office already, we need to examine what are their policy positions. If we don't like something about where they're coming from, we need to email them, we need to write them. All of them have Facebook pages. We need to make sure that our voice is heard, and we need to keep on speaking about it until they start doing what we, the people, want them to do. That's their job. They're public servants. They need to serve the public. Word up. Okay, I want to jump into relationships real quick. I've been seeing and talking to people about relationships in a variety of ways, and seeing some things on TV, so I thought I would throw my couple of cents into the situation. I have noticed a lot of people who get out of one relationship and jump immediately into the next relationship. They can't stand to be alone. You see it a lot with young people, but you see it with some older people too. The problem with this is that it takes two people to make a relationship successful. And if you just got out of one relationship, even if the other person truly was a jerk and you were doing your thing, doing the things necessary in a relationship, you're still injured from this. You cannot be your best self immediately after getting out of a relationship. You need time to cool off, time to get centered again, time to realize what it is you really want out of a relationship, but also to get in touch with what it is you really have to offer in a relationship. If you think that simply because you love a person, that's enough to make a relationship work, you're stupid. I'm just gonna be really real with you. You're not ready for a relationship if you think that's enough. You need to have compatibility on a wide range of things. You need to know that when the crap really hits the fan, that you're still going to be able to support this person, and that other person is going to be able to support you. We need to bring intelligence into relationships and not let our sexual desires or our emotional desires overcome us and make choices that are foolish. So many times, young and old, I see it over and over again, and I've made plenty of mistakes. God knows I have. I am single right now, but I'm working on improving myself, and I'm not actively pursuing a relationship because I know I still have a couple of I's I have to dot and a couple of T's I still have to cross. I think I'm still a good catch. But I want to be a great catch. I want to be a phenomenal catch. And I know that if I have a certain expectation of a great partner, then I have to be that. People have to be honest with themselves. You might not be as super duper as you think you are. And you need to face the truth. You need to be honest about what are your flaws. You need to be honest about why did that relationship really break up? What's the truth behind it? It's not always the other person. It's not usually always the other person. It takes two people. It is extremely rare that a relationship breaks up and it's only one other person's fault. There's reasons why things happen. We need to be in touch with those reasons. We need to be honest with ourselves, and we need to really be mature and smart about our relationship choices, and to not think that the only way we can be happy is to have a relationship, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and God forbid we spend 5 minutes by ourselves not in a relationship. We got to get really real with this, people, and as we get older, I think it's even more important. Kids can have time to screw around and make some bad choices. That's part of what growing up is. My time just ran out. That's part of what growing up is. As we get older, we have to be smarter and make better choices about our relationships. I'm working on it. I hope you are too. That's it, folks. We are at the end of another episode of the KLH show. And you know what it is at the end of every show. We got to get our drinky drink on. But first, I want you folks to remember to go to the petition that I have online to keep our politicians honest. I want to work to get live fact checkers on all the upcoming presidential debates. Bam! That is the link. Please go on there, sign the petition. It's something that regardless of our political persuasion, everybody can get behind. I only have a few signatures. It's been hard to get people to sign for some reason, but I'm going to fight as long as there's any presidential debates upcoming. I think it's something we should have. Please sign and tell everybody else to tell somebody. Word up. So our drink today, you know what it is. Jim Beam Black. There's only a little bit left in here. I'm going to get a little corner. And that's it. Also, if you have any questions, comments, whatever, you want to be on the show, I'm still trying to get people on the show. It's a lot of it's in me, I ain't gonna lie. It's getting the logistics together and finding the right people who are serious about coming on and having some real talk. But if you want to do that, please get at me. The website, the email, I keep saying website. The email is boom, KLHOUD1@comcast.net. Get at me. You know what it is. May I live to be 100 years. May, trying to get in the picture frame. Hey, you live to be 100 years in a day. Peace. See you next week.